Both engines are dead, 2,800 feet over New York City, 155 people on board, 90 seconds after takeoff. Captain Sullenberger has maybe 3 minutes, no thrust, no power, no airport in range, the aircraft is falling. He looks at the Hudson River below, freezing, full of ice, full of boats. It's the only option left. January 15, 2009, Thursday afternoon. 3:25 p.m. US Airways Flight 1549 lifts off from LaGuardia Airport in New York City. An Airbus A320. Destination, Charlotte, North Carolina. 150 passengers, 5 crew members. A routine domestic flight that happens thousands of times every day across America. Captain Chesley Sully Sullenberger is at the controls. 57 years old, former fighter pilot. 19,000 flight hours over 40 years. Beside him, First Officer Jeffrey Skiles, 49, 23 years of commercial flying experience. This is his first flight in the A320 after transitioning from the Boeing 737. 3 flight attendants prepare the cabin: Donna Dent, Doreen Welsh, Sheila Dale, all veterans with thousands of flights between them. The temperature outside hovers at 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Ice clings to the Hudson River, clear skies, visibility 10 miles. Normal winter day in New York. Air traffic control clears Flight 1549 for takeoff at 3:24:56 p.m. The Airbus rolls down runway 4, accelerates, lifts off, climbs northeast over Queens toward the George Washington Bridge. Everything is routine. Everything is normal. In about 90 minutes, this plane is supposed to land in Charlotte. Passengers will collect their bags, hail taxis, go home. But in 208 seconds, everything will change. Skiles is flying. Sullenberger monitors the instrument. Standard procedure. The aircraft climbs through 700 feet, then 1,000, heading northeast, following the departure procedure. Inside the cabin, passengers settle in. Laptops open, phones out. A few close their eyes. Flight attendants move through the aisles demonstrating safety procedures, checking seat belts. The usual routine nobody pays attention to. The Hudson River stretches out to the left, gray water, chunks of ice floating, ferry boats crossing between Manhattan and New Jersey. The George Washington Bridge hangs in the distance. Sullenberger glances out. What a view of the Hudson today. Skiles agrees. Yeah. 2 minutes since takeoff. The aircraft passes through 2,700 feet, still climbing. The engines hum steadily, fuel flow normal, airspeed increasing, everything operating exactly as designed. Skiles calls for flaps up. The aircraft continues climbing toward its assigned altitude of 15,000 feet. In a few minutes they'll level off, coast down to Charlotte. Passengers will get drinks, pretzels, maybe a magazine. But at 3:27:10, Sullenberger sees something ahead. Dark shapes moving, a flock, birds. Canada geese, dozens of them flying in formation. Large birds, 8 to 10 pounds each, moving directly into the aircraft's path at 2,800 feet. There's no time to avoid them. Whoa, Skiles says. The windscreen turns dark brown. Multiple impacts. Loud thuds echo through the fuselage. Both engines simultaneously. Metal tears. Fan blades shatter inside the turbofans. Fire shoots out the back. Passengers in the window seats see flashes, flames, smoke billowing. Then the sound changes, that constant background hum of jet engines, the sound every passenger hears without really hearing, cuts out. Gone. The cabin goes eerily quiet. Oh shit, Skiles says. Oh yeah, Sullenberger replies. The instrument panel tells the story. Both engine displays collapsing. N1 readings dropping, thrust falling to 0. The stick shaker activates. The aircraft isn't climbing anymore. We got one rolling back, Sullenberger says. Both of them rolling back. Inside the cabin, passengers smell something wrong. Burning, acrid, the smell of unburned jet fuel. Some notice the engine noise is gone. Others see smoke outside the windows. Nobody's sure what's happening yet, but something is clearly wrong. Sullenberger acts immediately. Ignition, start. I'm starting the APU. He starts the auxiliary power unit. Backup electrical power, they're going to need it. My aircraft, he says, taking control. Your aircraft, Skiles confirms, releasing the controls. Without engines, the A320 is a glider, a heavy glider that's already starting to fall. Sullenberger pushes the nose down slightly to maintain airspeed. If they lose airspeed, they lose lift. If they lose lift, they drop like a stone. Get the QRH, he tells Skiles. The Quick Reference Handbook. Emergency procedures. Loss of thrust on both engines. Skiles pulls out the handbook. Starts reading the checklist. Engine mode selector ignition, thrust levers idle, airspeed optimum relight 300 knots. We don't have that, Skiles says. We don't, Sullenberger confirms. The checklist assumes altitude, time, a chance to restart the engines at a safe height. They have none of those things. They have maybe 3 minutes before they hit something. Buildings, streets, water. At 3:27:32, Sullenberger keys the radio. His voice is calm, flat, professional. Mayday, mayday, mayday. This is Cactus 1539, hit birds. We've lost thrust on both engines. We're turning back towards LaGuardia. Air traffic controller Patrick Hart hears the transmission at New York TRACON. He immediately clears other aircraft out of the way. Okay, you need to return to LaGuardia. Turn left heading 220. Sullenberger turns the aircraft, but he's watching the altitude, calculating they're falling fast. LaGuardia is behind them across urban Queens, neighborhoods, schools, apartment buildings. He runs the numbers in his head, glide ratio, distance, descent rate. The math is brutal. We're unable, he radios back. We may end up in the Hudson. Harton offers runway 13 at LaGuardia. If we can get it for you, do you want to try to land runway 31? Sullenberger checks the altitude again. They're passing through 1,500 feet. We're unable. Inside the cabin, flight attendants notice the pilots aren't making announcements. The descent feels wrong, too steep, too fast. Donna Dent moves toward the cockpit. Doreen Welsh starts preparing herself without knowing exactly why. Harton tries again. Runway 4 is available if you want to make left traffic. I'm not sure we can make any runway, Sullenberger says. His voice is still calm, matter of fact. What's over to our right? Anything in New Jersey, maybe Teterboro. Teterboro Airport, smaller field across the river, closer. Harton contacts them immediately, gets clearance. You want to try and go to Teterboro? Yes. For a moment it seems possible. A plan, an option, but they're still falling. Sullenberger looks at the altimeter, looks at the distance. More buildings between them and Teterboro, more neighborhoods, more people on the ground. If they don't make it, if they fall short, they'll crash into populated New Jersey. Hundreds could die. Harton comes back. Turn right 280. You can land runway 1 at Teterboro. Sullenberger makes his decision, the most important decision of his life, of 155 lives. We can't do it, he radios. We're gonna be in the Hudson. It's 3:29:28. The Hudson River is ahead, gray, cold, 36 degrees, ice floating on the surface. Ferry boats, tour boats, commercial vessels. I'm sorry, say again, Cactus. Harton asks. He's heard the words but can't quite believe them. But Sullenberger is done talking to air traffic control. He's focused on one thing now, landing an aircraft in a river without killing everyone. Skiles is still working the checklist, still trying to restart the engines. He cycles the engine master switches, checks fuel flow, watches the displays. No relight, he says, nothing's working. The terrain warning starts screaming. Too low terrain, pull up, pull up. Sullenberger ignores them. He's not pulling up. He's aiming for water. They're at 1,000 feet. The George Washington Bridge passes overhead. Air traffic control later reports they cleared it by less than 900 feet. Let's go put the flaps out, Sullenberger says. Put the flaps out. Flaps will slow them, give more control on landing, but they'll also increase drag, make them descend faster. Every decision now is a trade-off. Everything matters. Got flaps out, Skiles confirms. 250 feet, still falling, 170 knots. The Hudson fills the windscreen now, boats, buildings on both shores, ice. Sullenberger keys the cabin intercom. Same calm voice. Same flat tone. "This is the captain, brace for impact." In the cabin, passengers hear those words, brace for impact. Some understand immediately, others don't quite process it. The flight attendants start shouting, "Brace, brace, heads down, stay down." Passengers grab their knees, tuck their heads between their legs, some look out the windows. The river is right there, rushing up, too close, too fast. Dave Sanderson, sitting in the rear, looks around at the other passengers. He's 47, married, 4 kids. He thinks about his family. He's certain, absolutely certain, he's about to die. Barry Leonard, near the front, watches the water. His brain is trying to make sense of it. A plane, landing on a river in New York City. This doesn't happen. The cabin is almost silent except for the flight attendants' voices. Nobody screams. Some pray quietly, others just hold on. Sullenberger lines up the aircraft. He can't hit the water at an angle. The plane will cartwheel, break apart, wings will tear off, everyone dies. He has to land it flat, parallel to the river, like setting down glass. 100 feet. The altitude ticks down, 50 feet. The terrain warnings keep screaming. Pull up, pull up, pull up. Sullenberger ignores them, pulls back slightly on the side stick. The nose lifts just a few degrees, the tail is low. The wings are level, he's holding it steady, holding the glide, speed still good, angle good. The Hudson River fills every inch of the windscreen now. At 3:31:00, US Airways Flight 1549 hits the water. The impact is massive. The fuselage slams into the Hudson at roughly 150 miles per hour. The force throws passengers forward against their seat belts. Overhead bins pop open. Bags fly through the cabin. The noise is deafening, metal tearing, water exploding upward. The tail strikes first, then the rear fuselage. Water shoots 40 feet in the air. The aircraft skips once, comes down again, slides forward across the surface. The belly tears open. Freezing water pours in through cracks in the hull. Then the plane stops. Nobody moves for a few seconds. Shock, disbelief. They're alive. The plane is intact mostly, but water is already pouring in. Evacuate, get out, move, move. The flight attendants start yelling, shouting over and over, pulling passengers out of their shock. Water is shin-deep in the back rows, rising fast. The rear of the aircraft is lower, sinking. Passengers unbuckle, stand. The aisles fill, everyone moving toward the exits. 8 exits total, 2 doors front, 4 overwing windows, 2 doors rear, but the rear door is underwater. Flight attendant Doreen Welsh tries to open it. River water floods in. She slams it shut. They've lost that exit. 5 exits left. The front left door opens. The evacuation slide is supposed to inflate outside. It doesn't. It inflates inside the cabin, blocking the exit. Useless. Passengers push it aside, climb over it. The front right door opens. The slide deploys correctly. Into the water, it inflates. Passengers start climbing out, sliding down into the freezing river. The 4 overwing exits open. Passengers climb onto the wings. The cold hits immediately. Wind cutting through clothes, spray from the water, the smell of jet fuel. The wings are slippery, coated in water and ice. People grab each other to keep from falling. Dave Sanderson is near the rear. Water is up to his knees, then his waist. Rising fast, he climbs over seats, helps a woman with a baby, helps an elderly man, keeps pushing people forward toward the exits. Move, keep moving. Barry Leonard is on the left wing. The water is 36 degrees. The air is 20 degrees. He's wearing a suit, no coat. His dress shoes slip on the wet metal. Someone grabs his arm, steadies him. A stranger. They hold on to each other. Flight attendant Sheila Dale stands in the overwing exit, pulling people out, one after another. Come on, move, next. Donna Dent works the other side. Her training takes over. Get them out, fast. The plane is sinking. She can feel it tilting. Inside the cockpit, Sullenberger and Skiles shut down systems. APU off, fuel off. They grab emergency equipment. Then Sullenberger walks into the cabin. Water is chest deep in the rear now. He wades through it, checking every row, every seat, every bathroom, calling out, listening. Nothing. He checks again, still nothing. He walks the entire length twice, making absolutely sure. No one left behind. Finally, he climbs out onto the wing. 155 people are out of the aircraft, all of them, every single person accounted for. Now they just have to survive the water. The rescue begins within 90 seconds. Captain Vince Lombardi is at the helm of the New York waterway ferry Thomas Jefferson. He's crossing the Hudson when he sees the plane go down. He doesn't radio dispatch, doesn't wait for orders. He turns the ferry, opens the throttles, heads straight for the wreckage. Other ferries see it too. They turn, the Morris Smith, the Governor Thomas H. Keene. 14 NY waterway vessels converge on the crash site, plus Coast Guard boats, NYPD Harbor Patrol, FDNY fireboats. Within minutes, the Hudson is full of rescue vessels. Passengers stand on the wings, water up to their knees, some up to their waists. The aircraft is tilting. The tail is sinking lower. Some passengers slide into the water, trying to swim to boats, afraid the plane will explode. The water is brutal, 36 degrees. Hypothermia sets in within minutes. Fingers go numb. Legs stop working. Shivering becomes violent. People start losing coordination. Ferry crews throw lines, life rings. Passengers grab them, pull themselves to the boats. Deckhands reach down, haul people up. One by one, arms under shoulders, dragging soaking passengers onto the decks. Adelaide Horton, 77 years old, stands on the wing, soaking wet, shaking uncontrollably. A ferry pulls alongside. 2 crew members reach down, lift her bodily onto the boat. She's hypothermic, can barely speak, but alive. Ben Bostic, a software engineer, clings to the wing. His hands are so cold he can't feel his fingers. He doesn't think he can hold on much longer. A rescue boat pulls up. Someone grabs his wrist, pulls. He's on the boat. Safe. Mark Hood, former Marine lieutenant, takes charge on one section of wing, organizing people. Elderly first, injured first, everyone else hold on. He's still in command mode, making sure the vulnerable get rescued first. Flight attendant Doreen Welsh is on one of the last rescue boats. She doesn't realize it yet, but a 12-inch piece of metal tore through her leg during impact. Deep laceration. She's bleeding. Adrenaline kept her going during the evacuation. Now she sees the blood. Feels the pain. Dave Sanderson is the last passenger off the aircraft. He makes sure everyone else is out first. Then he steps into the water, swims to a ferry. Hands pull him up. He's safe. The last passenger rescued. Sullenberger is the last person to leave. He walks through the cabin one more time. Checks every space. Confirms what he already knows. Everyone is out. Then he climbs into a rescue boat. He looks back at the aircraft. The tail is completely submerged now. The nose is pointing up at an angle. Water is pouring into the fuselage through tears in the hull. Within an hour, the entire plane will be underwater. By 4:00 p.m., less than 30 minutes after impact, all 155 people from Flight 1549 have been pulled from the river. They're taken to hospitals, ferry terminals, warming centers across Manhattan and New Jersey, wrapped in blankets, treated for shock, hypothermia, injuries. 5 people have serious injuries. Doreen Welsh's leg wound, broken bones, deep lacerations. 78 people are treated in hospitals, most for minor injuries, cuts, bruises, exposure to cold. But every single person survives. Not one death, not one person lost in the river, not one person trapped in the sinking aircraft. 155 people, 0 fatalities. The investigation begins that night. The National Transportation Safety Board dispatches a team to New York immediately. They want the aircraft, the engines, the black boxes. They want to understand exactly what happened and why everyone lived. Over the following weeks, divers recover the plane from the Hudson's muddy bottom. Both engines are retrieved, brought to a facility, torn apart, examined piece by piece. Investigators find organic material inside both engine cores, feathers, soft tissue, bone fragments. DNA analysis confirms it. Canada geese, large migratory birds, at least 8 to 10 pounds each. Multiple birds struck each engine simultaneously at high speed. The impacts shattered turbine blades, damaged compressor stages, caused immediate catastrophic loss of thrust in both engines. The NTSB recovers the flight data recorder and cockpit voice recorder. They listen to every word, analyze every control input. The data shows Sullenberger flew an almost perfect approach. His pitch angle, his speed control, his touchdown point, all within extremely narrow margins that allowed the aircraft to survive impact intact. The board's final report is issued on May 4, 2010. The probable cause: the ingestion of large birds into each engine, which resulted in an almost total loss of thrust in both engines. The report also concludes the decision to ditch in the Hudson was correct. Attempting to return to LaGuardia or reach Teterboro would have resulted in the aircraft crashing into a populated area with catastrophic loss of life on the ground and in the aircraft. The crew's performance is described as exceptional. The captain's decision-making under extreme time pressure, the first officer's support, the flight attendants' evacuation procedures, the rapid response of ferry crews and first responders. Everything had to go right, and it did. Sullenberger and Skiles received numerous awards. The Guild of Air Pilots and Air Navigators awards them the Master's Medal. The citation reads, "This emergency ditching and evacuation, with the loss of no lives, is a heroic and unique aviation achievement." The entire crew meets President Obama at his inauguration a few days later. They appear on national television, become symbols of professionalism under pressure. Proof that training works, that experience matters, that skill saves lives. The aircraft itself is eventually recovered and preserved. Today it sits in the Carolinas Aviation Museum in Charlotte. Visitors can walk around it, see the torn metal where the engines used to be, the cracked windows, the water stains. Physical evidence of an impossible landing. The incident changes aviation. The FAA issues new regulations on bird strike hazards. Airports enhance wildlife management programs. Airlines improve pilot training on engine failure and ditching procedures. The lessons from Flight 1549 are taught worldwide. But for the passengers, the impact is personal. Some struggle with post-traumatic stress for years, nightmares, anxiety about flying. Others say the experience changed them fundamentally, made them appreciate life more, value relationships more, stop taking small moments for granted. Some passengers stay in touch, form a survivors group, meet on anniversaries. They share a bond that outsiders can't fully understand. They were there. They felt the impact, saw the water rising. Thought they were going to die, and they didn't. There are moments in aviation history when the math says people die, when the physics are impossible, when the odds are zero. US Airways Flight 1549 was one of those moments. Dual engine failure at the worst possible altitude. No time to reach a runway. A freezing river in the middle of the largest city in America. But 155 people walked away. Not because of luck, because of training. Because of a captain who'd spent 40 years preparing for a crisis he never expected to face. Because of a first officer who kept working the problem when nothing was working. Because of flight attendants who kept passengers moving when the water was rising. Because of ferry captains who drove toward danger instead of away from it. Captain Sullenberger said afterward that he didn't feel like a hero. He said he was simply doing the job he'd been trained to do. But his job, that day, was to save 155 lives with no engines and 3 minutes to decide. And he did it. The NTSB called it the most successful ditching in aviation history. The media called it the miracle on the Hudson. The passengers simply called it the day they should have died and didn't. On January 15, 2009, an aircraft landed in the Hudson River, and everyone survived. That doesn't happen by accident. It happens because when the impossible becomes unavoidable, training becomes instinct, experience becomes action, and impossible becomes possible. One decision, 208 seconds, 155 lives saved.